Hello, everyone. Good day. We are starting now our workshop on GAWE planning and actions. GAWE is the Global Action Week for Education, this mobilization that happens every year, coordinated by the Global Campaign for Education. And for giving you a first word or welcome words now, I would like to invite Grant. Please, Grant, that is the GC coordinator, for sharing some welcome words, and then we'll give you the next steps for our webinar today. Thank you so much for your participation.
Okay, thank you so much, Fabiola, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. As we say in GCE, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, from wherever, you are joining. Welcome to this second session of our webinar, where we are really diving deep into understanding what GAWE theme for this year is, but also to build up, the momentum of the campaign. I hope that, you are all geared and you are all excited, just as we are, from the Secretariat, that, this year we are tackling, a theme which is really key to the delivery of the human right to education, which is financing. And we want that process of financing to be decolonized. And during this session, that will be unpacked. And, I would like to welcome you to really listen in very attentively. At the same time, be free also to pose questions or areas of clarity that you might want. We want everyone, we want every member of GCE in this year's Global Action Week to go into the campaign with full understanding of what we are calling for. So I hope that you listen attentively and that you'll be able to ask and be able to engage in the conversation. There is a chat that is there. Please do post in your comments in there, but also feel free to introduce yourself as you join. It is always good to know who has joined into this webinar. I welcome you again. Please feel free, engage in the conversation, and I hand over to Fabiola now. Over to you, Fabiola. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grant. And yes, we will have a moment for knowing each other, for people to present themselves. And for now, I just would like to present you some ideas from the communication side, because just to present myself as well, I'm Fabiola Munhoz, I'm journalist and I'm social communicator as well. And I have been working for years in social impact and human rights campaigns, communication and mobilization campaigns. So in this time, I'm supporting the Global Campaign for Education in preparing and coordinating the actions and strategies on communication for the Global Action Week for Education. And we have been making some exercises of having some communication materials that be more attractive and more accessible for a broad audience. So in this beginning of our meeting, I would like to share with you some of these pieces, these communication pieces, as well as an exercise of seeing if this works with a broad public. I hope that we have a broad public assisting to us right now. So I'll share my screen. I ask permission to share my screen now. And I'll share with you some communication materials, and then we can start with the other presentations. Can you see my screen? Yes. So I prepared here some materials to share with you. The slogan of our campaign, the Global Action Week for Education 2023, is Invest in a Just World, Decolonizing Education Financing Now. And I'll pass in here. Okay. Here we have some images that can be used as header for social media, for example, Facebook, YouTube, as well, Instagram, Twitter, because you had the header. And here I'll share with you in the different languages, because all the materials we will have in the 5 languages of GCE that are English, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and Arabic. And here we have the header in Portuguese, for example. We have the header for social media in French, the header for social media in Spanish, and the header for social media in Arabic, okay? And in English, we have as well. And to present just very fast the context, this campaign brings the theme of education financing also in the context of the Transformative Education Summit that was this global event held by United Nations on September 2022. And in this event, heads of states adopted a call to action on financing with some innovative commitments for improving education financing. So in this context, this campaign brings the theme to press the governments to comply these international commitments. The Global Action Week for Education is a global mobilization that happens every year, and each edition highlights a different aspect of the right to education or a specific focus area of the Education for All agenda adopted by the United Nations, nowadays the 2030 Education Agenda. Okay, the GAWE is globally coordinated by the Global Campaign for Education and gathers activists, students, teachers, social movements, and organizations around communication, advocacy, and mobilization actions to defend the right to education in more than 100 countries worldwide. Okay, so just to present some information about the context of the education financing in the world that is so challenging for us, and for this reason, the importance of addressing this theme as well. We prepared some carousels that they are like a series of cards with different points, explicative points for different themes and demands or key messages that we have to our campaign. So, for example, the first carousel or the first pack of this series of cards is about did you know, that bring to public some information about the context, the challenging context of education financing in the world. So here, for example, the gap in low and lower middle income countries for education financing, that is $148 billion with a risk of increasing by the reasons related to the COVID. And meanwhile, global tax abuse is estimated at $483 billion. So we are leading, we are managing this context. The second card of this same carousel present that 97% by countries domestic source and just 3% by official development assistance or international cooperation form together the money that we have today for the public education, okay? So tax justice and progressive tax reforms seem really important and a priority for ensuring sufficient, sustainable, and adequate resources for education. In this sense, we need a massive scaling up of financing, ensuring that it's accountable and reaches the most marginalized, and that these resources are used to strengthen free public education systems for the benefit of all. These are our demands in the context of the Gaui. Join us. So it's a first example of carousel or a series of explicative cards that we would have in different languages, in the 5 GC languages for sharing with a broad public. Other carousel, for example, explaining a little what is the Gaui for a public that don't know yet what is the Gaui, and highlighting that this year, this edition, Gaui completes 20 years of existence, and this edition embraces the slogan, investing in a just world, decolonize education financing now. Next steps of this carousel would be explaining a little to the audience what we understand about the colonizing education financing concept, that for some people could be a have concept in a first look. So for us, the colonized education financing is national governments in shaping education reforms in consultation with citizens. ED should not shape the educational agenda and has to be harmonized and aligned to expand sustainable and suitable financing for education. The colonial mindsets rejects the Eurocentric modalities of being and knowing the world, and instead emphasize local and progressive struggles for knowledge, production, learning, and sharing. And it's essential in this perspective to decolonize education spaces from legacies of racism, xenophobia, patriarchy, and imperialism, identifying the type of education being financed. So it's the second example of carousel. The third one presents 5 demands that we have for a transformative and decolonizing agenda for education financing in basis of what came from the TESS summit that I said in the beginning. So governments committed to address 5 points that we defend as important points for action. That is, first, action on tax to increase tax through gross national product ratios through progressive tax reforms and change how the global rules about tax are set now. Action on austerity. So we want to urge the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and other international finance institutions to remove existing austerity measures, recommendations, and obstacles such as public sector wage constraints that discourage increased spending on teacher salaries and teacher recruitment. Action on debt. So countries spending more in debt, servicing debt on education should be front of queue for debt cancellation or renegotiations. And action on paradigms, highlighting that it's necessary that ministries of finance see education as investment and not consumption, okay? Action on special drawing rights as well, to demand a new issue of the International Monetary Fund currency, as was done during COVID-19, and the just redistribution of these emergency resources. This is other carousel as example, and the following one is about explaining the 4S, that the movement that defend the right to education, just education financing, know very well. It's the 4S that are so needed to increase and to improve education financing. Understand in the next steps. So the first is share of national budgets dedicated to education. So we claim for at least 15 to 20% of the national budgets for education. the size of government's budget overall, and it's determined by tax, debit, macro policies, trade, etc. The sensitivity of education budget allocations driven by an evidence-based approach to equity and efficiency. And the scrutiny, finally, to allow that citizens can participate in the budget definition and monitoring process, research, and also these resources are tracked, especially in the most disadvantaged communities. And this way data quality is improved and the capacity to use this data is enhanced. Other carousel to finalize and don't bore you so much is about suggesting some lines of actions to the audience so they can join the campaign and feel that they can be part of this movement. So we present ourselves with these cards. Hello, we are the Global Action Week for Education. We present our slogan. And we present the idea of the campaign, that is gathering activists, students, teachers in more than 100 countries. And then in the next, we share 5 suggested lines of actions for people that want to join. So first, sign our call with demands for governments and the international community. So we have political statement, and it will be available in the platform change.org for general sign. And we'll be with a link in our GAWE webpage that we are just finalizing and we should launch in the next days, okay? The second suggested action for audience and educational communities is access and share our communication materials. For example, these carousels that will be all available in different languages in our webpage. To organize conversations, activities in your school, collective, neighborhood, or community to reflect on education funding, or join the campaign agenda in your country as the different coalitions and countries will share their plans. So the fourth point, the fourth suggested line of action is to use our letter templates to present demands to the ministries and representatives of global financial institutions in your country. These letters are being produced and will be also available in our webpage. And 5, assist to our virtual dialogues on the colonized education financing. That is the other step that I would like to share with you. This is our calendar of political regional dialogues that we will have for the GAWE, okay? On May 27th, Saturday, we'll have a meeting to discuss focus areas, key messages for this campaign from the Arab region. So ACIA, our regional network member of GCE in Arab, will coordinate with us this dialogue. The second day, May 29, we'll have ANCEFA meeting from the Africa region. On May 30, CLADE meeting from Latin America and the Caribbean perspectives. On May 31, ASBAI meeting by Asia. And on June 1st, we'll have the culminance event of our Global Action Week with a high-level event that can bring together all this global movement, okay? So we'll be virtual political dialogues, and we invite all to be part of this. They will be open events, okay? Also with interpretation in the 5 languages of GCE. And just to highlight that this meeting is part of the preparation for GAWE, and this week we had a lot of activities. We are having this meeting. We had on Tuesday interesting meeting on the colonizing education financing, explaining the concepts, having the contributions of activists and experts from different regions. And we had the NACE meeting the meeting for Europe and North America region, a member of GCE. So Beatriz and Rebecca that so kindly are here with us can share more information about this meeting that happened yesterday. And next week, we'll have this communication pack that I presented in first hand to you today. We have this communication pack available in 5 languages on May 10, so next week, and then you can prepare your diffusions, you can begin using these materials. And on May 19, we'll have also some carousels like these with 3 key messages per region of the world that make part of GCE. So we can highlight these messages as well in the context of the different regional dialogues, political dialogues, and regional days that we have in our agenda for now. Okay, so just to finalize, we have also a carousel that explains in 10 points our call to action in this Global Action Week for Education. There are strong demands for governments, international education community. So to do not extend so much, I'll just present the format of this. For example, here we have 3 points, and I'll put a PDF with all these 10 points of call to action in a format carousel here in the chat for you to consult if you want, okay? And just for finalizing as well, we will have a series of cartoons in an exercise of making our messages more accessible and interesting for a broad public. These cartoons were kindly offered and available for us by the TextEd Alliance and ActionAid. So thank you so much for that. We have for now 4 beautiful, I'll pass a little slowly because they are so great. And we have 4 cartoons that are more focused on tax justice and education financing. Part 1, very good as well. And I put the link to my presentation here in the chat so we can see in your time as well these beautiful cartoons. And we are preparing other 4 cartoons with other aspects of our demands in this campaign to be shared during our week, okay? And we hope that we have this in all the languages as well. I'm making this effort. And this is all for now. Thank you so much for your attention. And I would like to pass the word to give the floor for Werner Munoz, that is the coordinator of policy and advocacy of GCE, to share some words about the concept, the theme of the campaign this year. And then he will present our next panel. Thank you so much. It's up to you, Werner.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Javi, for this fantastic, informative presentation. So, colleagues, now we are going to start our panel. We have a fantastic group of panelists from all regions today. So we are very happy to have the chance to listen to all of them. Just let me very quickly make some points, share some ideas on the decolonizing education financing. And let me very quickly switch into Spanish because it's easier for me on one hand, and the other hand, since we're talking about decolonization, I think that it makes a lot of sense if I do in my own mother tongue. Bueno, entonces, muy buenos días desde Costa Rica para todos y todas. Este año la Semana de Acción Mundial estará enfocada sobre financiamiento no colonialista de la educación. Tendríamos que empezar recordando que el financiamiento de la educación es una obligación central de los estados, ¿no? y está así reconocida en el marco del derecho internacional de los derechos humanos. Recordábamos que el Pacto Internacional de Derechos Económicos, Sociales y Culturales obliga a los estados a destinar hasta el máximo de los recursos posibles para la educación. Entonces, el financiamiento es parte constitutiva del derecho a la educación. La educación es un derecho humano. Deberíamos enfocar todas nuestras acciones desde la perspectiva de derechos humanos y no exclusivamente desde la perspectiva del desarrollo. Y esto lo quiero explicar un poco con mayor detalle inmediatamente. Simplemente recordar también que la Agenda de Desarrollo Sostenible, que por supuesto todos y todas apoyamos, no incluye necesariamente el financiamiento educativo, ¿no? Como sí está incorporado en el marco de acción de Incheon. Y quiero hacer esta observación del financiamiento como un elemento del derecho a la educación, precisamente porque cuando hacemos un énfasis muy grande en el financiamiento, tenemos el riesgo de caer en discursos muy instrumentalistas. Yo no estoy seguro si el financiamiento de la educación, bueno, estoy totalmente seguro que el financiamiento de la educación no debe ser visto como un gasto, pero tampoco estoy seguro si conviene mirar el financiamiento de la educación como una inversión, porque este lenguaje economicista, este lenguaje financiero, nos hace caer en la trampa de mirar la educación como si se esperara un retorno económico, ¿no? O sea, invertimos en algo porque estamos esperando una ganancia. Este lenguaje economicista no es del todo adecuado. En realidad, la educación es una obligación, perdón, el financiamiento es una obligación central de los estados, y este lenguaje economicista nos hace pensar que el propósito de la educación es, no sé, mejorar el desarrollo económico de los países, mejorar las posibilidades económicas de las personas, procurar un desarrollo económico en los países. Por supuesto que es cierto que la educación contribuye a este fin, pero la educación no se concentra únicamente en los propósitos económicos, va mucho más allá. La educación pretende construir un entorno integral, holístico, en el que las personas desarrollan todas sus capacidades, todas sus potencialidades, no únicamente las económicas, ¿no? Los fines de la educación buscan construir la dignidad en las personas y capacidades para poder construir una vida digna que involucra todos los elementos, incluyendo los económicos. Es decir, la educación no tiene como fin únicamente proveer la mano de obra que los empleadores necesitan. La educación busca construir dignidad en todos sus sentidos. Pero por supuesto que para esto se necesitan recursos, y por eso es que el financiamiento educativo es tan importante. Los estándares del 4 al 6% de la inversión del Producto Interno Bruto se perfilan como estándares universales, y los países tienen que buscar destinar al menos ese porcentaje de recursos. Y para ello, por supuesto, tienen que buscar los recursos desde el interior de sus estados. El concepto de descolonización de la educación es muy importante, porque lamentablemente se ha hecho creer que los estados, que los países que carecen de recursos para invertir en la educación, tampoco tienen las capacidades para resolver los problemas educativos, y que por lo tanto necesitamos a nuestros buenos hermanos del norte, por ejemplo, para resolver nuestros problemas. Y esto es un enfoque que ha lastimado no solamente la dignidad de los pueblos, sino nuestras propias capacidades para poder resolver nuestros propios problemas. Enfocar una campaña específica en la Semana de Acción Mundial sobre el concepto de descolonización ha sido, por lo tanto, una decisión muy feliz de la Asamblea Mundial. Y pensamos que este mensaje no solamente debe llevarse durante esta semana, sino que también debe constituir parte del discurso natural que todos los miembros de la campaña mundial por la educación deberían sostener, deberían llevar. Desarrollar las capacidades de nuestros pueblos para resolver nuestros propios problemas es posiblemente el paso más digno, el paso más honorable y más efectivo que podemos promover. Voy a volver al inglés ahora, si me permiten. So, colleagues, we will start our discussion today with a fantastic group of panelists. And we will start with Elsie Wakil. Elsie is representing here the Arab Coalition for Education for All, and Elsie also a GC board member. And she will share some thoughts on the plans and actions for the Gawi this year from the Arab perspective. So, Elsie, you have up to 10 minutes for your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Werner. Thank you, Fabiola, for this wonderful meeting. Together, all the coalitions and constituencies over the world of members in the Global Campaign for Education. So also I will speak in Arabic. It's easy for our friends and colleagues from the Arab region to follow. Elsie Wakil, ممثلة عن الحملة العربية للتعليم للجميع آكيا. الرسالة في 3 رسائل مهمين الحملة العربية حطتهم حسب الأولويات اللي حسينا أنه ممكن المنطقة العربية تكون لها طابع خاص ويكون لها هالرسائل ال3 اللي تم اختيارها في الحملة العربية للتعليم صدى إيجابي في هذه الحملة. الرسالة الأولى هي مطالبة الحكومات بتوفير تمويل كاف ومستدام يلبي الاحتياجات الأساسية والمستجدة لقطاع التعليم وبما يحقق الإنصاف والعدالة والشمول والمواساة. هيدي أول رسالة حسيناها كحملة عربية للتعليم ممكن إنه تلائم وتوائم أوطاننا العربية. الرسالة الثانية: بعض الدول تدفع فوائد على الديون أعلى من الصرف على التعليم، لذا بتطالب الحملة العربية للتعليم للجميع إلغاء الديون على الدول الفقيرة ومنخفضة الدخل لصالح دعم التعليم. أما الرسالة الثالثة هي على الحكومات إجراء إصلاحات ضريبية عادلة وفرض ضرائب تصاعدية على أصحاب الدخول المرتفعة من أجل زيادة الإنفاق على التعليم والتنمية. هيدول الرسائل ال3 اللي حسينا كحملة عربية للتعليم للجميع آكيا رح نطالب فيهم، هن مطالبنا الرئيسية بالإضافة إلى المطالب الأخرى للحملة العالمية للتعليم اللي هي عم بتطالب فيهم كذلك. بدأت آكيا الحملة العربية للتعليم للجميع بتنظيم عدة اجتماعات أولية مع الائتلافات والتحالفات الوطنية حول أسبوع العمل العالمي للتعليم يلي كلنا صرنا نعرف إنه رح يكون من 29 أيار مايو لغاية 2 يونيو حزيران. عم أكثر نحكي مع التحالفات الوطنية على خطط اللي بدهم والأنشطة اللي رح يقوموا فيها في الائتلافاتهم المحلية والوطنية. رح تنظم الحملة العربية للتعليم ندوة خاصة مثل ما حكيتنا فابيولا عن الندوات اللي رح تصير. آكيا حتكون مهتمة بتنظيم ندوة يوم 27 مايو وبدعي الجميع كمان يكونوا حاضرين معنا، لأنه هي بدها تكون ندوة تقريبا الثانية، لأنه بديوا امبارح إناسي لأنه كانوا اخذين الأسبوع التواريخ الأولية لأسبوع العمل العالمي للتعليم. فبتمنى أنه هي دعوة عامة اليوم أنه يكونوا معنا الجميع ب الندوة اللي رح تقوم فيها آكيا، يلي رح تخلي الائتلافات الوطنية جميعاً، ال 11 ائتلاف وطني العربي، يكونوا عم بيعبروا عن أهمية هذه الحملة وأهمية ما معنى إنهاء الاستعمار في تمويل التعليم من ناحية كل دولة موجودة بدها تكون معنا في هذا اللقاء. كمان اللي عم بتنظم الآكيا حملة إعلامية، مثل ما اليوم كمان شفنا الأدوات اللي طرحتها علينا فابيولا موجودة بالخمس لغات، فكمان الحملة العربية حتستعمل هالتول كيت اللي محضرة من الجي سي اي لا تستعملها بحملتها الإعلامية، بالإضافة إلى عمل فيديو خاص بكل الائتلافات الوطنية العربية بيتضمن المطالب الرئيسية اللي كنا عم نقولهم من أطفال، من جهات المجتمع المدني. وأكيد هيدي الفيديوز هالأفلام هنعرضها بإطلاقة الحملة في بداية أيام الأسبوع العمل العالمي للتعليم. وهناك أيضاً رسائل حيتم إرسالها للوزراء المعنيين، وزارة التربية، وزارة المالية، وزارة الشؤون الاجتماعية، كل الوزراء المهتمين في موضوع العام للسنة تبع الأسبوع العمل العالمي للتعليم، إن كانت جهات حكومية أو غير حكومية. أكيد حنستثمر الحملة الإعلامية يلي هي نستعمل الفيسبوك والإنستغرام والتويتر للحملة، ونكون يوميا هيكون في عنا رسائل عم تنزل على هذه المواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. بالإضافة رح يتم تنظيم ندوة محلية لكل ائتلاف حيقوم بأنشطة. أكيد هالأنشطة حننشرها على صفحة الحملة العربية للتعليم وعلى صفحة الائتلافات الوطنية، وحيكون لكم يعني دعوات للمشاركة معنا في هذه الحملة لمعظم الائتلافات الوطنية. وأخيراً سيتم تنظيم أيضاً برنامج ضمن برنامج 20 دقيقة اللي بتقوم فيه الحملة العربية للتعليم دورياً. هيكون موضوعه عن موضوع أسبوع العمل العالمي للتعليم، وحيستضيف خبراء واختصاصيين يتكلموا عن هذا الموضوع. وهيك بتكون حملتنا بالمنطقة العربية مواكبة للحملة العالمية ومواكبة لكل الائتلافات والأعضاء في الحملة العالمية للتعليم. بدي أتمنى لكل الائتلافات التربوية وللتحالفات أسبوع مميز وإطلاق مميز، ونقدر عن جد نحقق أهداف اللي المرجوة من هذا الأسبوع، ويتحقق الهدف التعليم للجميع منصف وشامل ومتجدد. وشكراً.
Thank you so much, dear Elsie, for this fantastic presentation. Let me now move to Beatrice Schulter from ENACE, the European and North American Coalition for Education. Beatrice, it's such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much for joining. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Werner. Thank you, Fabiola, also, and Elsie for your presentations. Very inspiring. And thank you for laying such a great basis for a joint campaign. This is very helpful for, I can say, for me personally, as I'm involved in the global campaign so closely for the first time. Also, I can speak for RESIS, the Swiss Network for Education and International Cooperation. We are really getting active for the first time And I am observing that also ENACE, we are the youngest regional constituency, and we are starting to get together and to get active together. So I'm really happy that this is happening around the topic of decolonizing education financing, where really we are convinced we play such an important role from Europe and North America. And I'm speaking also for Switzerland, from the countries who are the main beneficiaries of currently in just global tax regulations. So we believe we have to do something, we have to get involved. We have a very important role at this end, and obviously also our members who are working in development cooperation and education projects in the Global South to know better how to engage also on national level to strengthen activities there. So thank you for giving us the space to shortly present what we are doing in ENACE, and I'm going to start talk about yesterday's event, which was the ENACE regional event. Then I will talk a little bit about our planned activities in Switzerland, and then I will hand over to my dear colleague Becca, who collected some of the feedback from the other coalitions in our regional constituency. So yesterday, you mentioned already, we had a regional event. It was an online webinar with the main purpose, I think, really to raise our understanding and awareness of the whole complexity of the problem of financing for education. And we were very happy to have 4 very qualified and inspiring speakers. First of all, David Archer, whom we know all, who had a very interesting and easy to understand presentation. I think he really is able to bring it to the point what are the issues. After that, we had 3 other speakers. First of all, we had Thibault Lovarier. He's a senior research associate at the University of Geneva and a member of our network. And he talked about the colonial problem and the international influence. So took a very specific perspective of that. Then we had Dr. Moira Powell from NORAC, who is also a member of RESI, who talked about the potential national solution, domestic resource mobilization. And then fourthly, we had Will Brehm. He's an associate professor of education and international development, who talked about an aspect that we hadn't covered so much yet, but he talked about the illicit financial flows also in relation to the creation of grant-giving foundations. So private businesses making a lot of profit, then channeling them around the taxes in their countries, and then putting them again back also for education, to develop education, but with a lot of power of what the money is used for. So we are talking about a lot of power relations that are obviously related to this whole financing question. It was very interesting. I think we had about 60 participants, 50 to 60, from many different countries, mainly from Switzerland, because it was RESI who had initiated this, but we had also a lot of colleagues from other countries in our constituency, and I think some of you were there as well. I see some names I saw yesterday. So thanks for coming. As I said, the purpose of this event was really to raise our awareness and understanding of the complexity of this whole problematics. I think the communication material, Fabiola, that you prepared with the help of many other people, but you put it together, is really helpful to put things to the point. And we will, I think, be all able to use these for our purposes in the further campaigning. Let me share very quickly what we plan to do in Switzerland hereafter. In Switzerland, we have 2 upcoming very important policy processes, which is really the best timing for us to have the campaign on this topic this year, because we have a national referendum upcoming in the summer about the new taxation for international corporations being based in Switzerland. So here we are really talking about a potential leverage point where it's really important what the Swiss population is going to vote. We have this direct democracy in Switzerland, so we have a say on many, many different things, among others in the summer on this new law of taxation. We will be happy to let you know more about the details. We are just starting to look into the issue and to be able to formulate exactly what we want to do. But of course, we will use also the argument of education funding in relation to this campaign. And then there is another important process going on in Switzerland this year. It's the development of the new strategy of the Swiss government, strategy and budget for international cooperation, meaning development cooperation funds. It's every time this happens, it is very tight because we have a increasingly national-oriented government, like almost all over the world. Parliaments it's difficult to convince parliaments to give more, as we should, for development cooperation funding. And there is going to be a public consultation on this new strategy. So we have a space to really input with a very clear focus on education. So we will do what we do every year, is obviously underline the importance of education, inclusive education, education for all. But this time we are also going to point out some issues regarding the whole global system of financing and how this impacts on the global fund. So exactly. So what we're going to do in the week before the GAWE, we will have 2 workshops with our members to prepare those campaigns in more detail, and also to define more targeted messages for which we are going to then spread through social media mainly during the Global Action Week itself. So that's it for Switzerland. Sorry for taking so long, but because we have some other national coalitions who have great plans as well. And I would like to hand over to Becca for that.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. It's fantastic. We're delighted to know that ENASI already launched GAWE this year with yesterday's event. That's absolutely fantastic. I think that we all appreciate the work you're doing towards enhancing the international cooperation. I know that inside many Northern and European countries, marginalized population also are in need of funding. I mean, refugees, migrants, indigenous peoples. So we're confident that this is something that governments will need to deal. So now it's time for salsa and samba.
Maybe Becca, sorry, Werner, but Becca has something to share about the other.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, at the other missions in
Sorry.
Europe.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Go ahead, Rebecca, please.
Sorry, Werner. I'll keep it quite short, but just firstly to say a massive thank you, Fabiola, and everybody else for all of the work that's gone into organising this GAWE. And I think it's the resources are so fantastic, and we're very excited to share them. And also, thank you so much to the event from Racy and from Beatrice. I think a few of you were on the call, but it was such a fantastic seminar, and I think really great on picking what are some quite difficult and complicated concepts and making them kind of easy for us as campaigners to then take away and know what to do with. So a really, really successful event. So thank you, Beatrice, for that. Just a couple of updates from some other ENASE members. So the Armenian Coalition are planning on a roundtable discussion around localization of global demands, and they've got another one coming up in May, as well as having translated all of these resources into Armenian so they can share in the coalition. The Danish coalition have been running their sort of maths schools campaign that's called Reading Rocket Books, and they have a big event with parliamentarians where they brought 5th graders, so they're 8 and 9-year-olds, into Parliament to talk about their projects. GCEUS the USA will be highlighting congressional actions, sharing coalition members' action blogs, amplifying youth voices, and hosting a high-level coalition meeting through the month of May. And I can post a link to the rest of their activities as well, I've got in the chat. And then at a UK level, we are also organising our own comms. We've got blog posts coming. We plan to do a lot of amplification of our colleagues across all of the regional coalitions, and we'll be meeting as well with our foreign office representatives and talking about decolonising financing, but in the context of our other campaign, which is around education in emergencies. So talking about how some of our financial asks will link to global tax justice. So I will stop there. And there is sort of plenty going on at NRSA, but I realise we've got lots to cover. So just, yeah, another thank you, Fabiola, and everybody for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for these great additions. So let me now move to Claudia. So we have Thais Yerbolino for sharing some thoughts.
Hola, hola.
Go ahead, Thais, please.
Hola, hola, no sé si ya
Sí,
puedo,
sí, adelante.
si me escuchan y si ya puedo presentar.
Yes,
Soy
go
Thais
ahead.
de la CLAE, soy brasileña, pero hoy voy a hacer mi presentación en español, en diálogo con mis compas de Latinoamérica. Es muy bueno estar aquí, muy bueno estar con todos del mundo. Y voy también a compartir entonces una presentación sobre las acciones que la campaña latinoamericana por el derecho a la educación va a realizar, va a movilizar, va, en fin, a hacer sus incidencias, ¿no? Entonces, no sé si ya están viendo, si logran ver. Creo que sí, ¿no? Ya puedo seguir. Bueno, tenemos 3 mensajes clave porque fue también una dinámica que hicimos junto con la CME, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son las que llamamos mensajes corazón, ¿no? Lo que queremos decir, cuáles son los enfoques. Entonces, América Latina y el Caribe tiene como 3 enfoques principales. Una de ellas es la deuda, ¿no? Darle prioridad a los pagos de la deuda asfixia los presupuestos nacionales, impidiendo el financiamiento adecuado a la educación pública, ¿no? Entonces, lo que vamos a defender, incidir, movilizar y también hacer acciones de formación es para eso, ¿no? Para apoyar la cancelación de la deuda y presionar a los movimientos de reparación a la deuda. Otro mensaje importante que tiene que ver con cooperación internacional, ¿no? Apoyamos las relaciones transparentes, horizontales y descolonizadoras, ¿no? La idea que demandamos el cumplimiento del compromiso asumido por países desarrollados en Incheon de destinar 0.7% de su Producto Nacional Bruto en la ayuda solidaria para el desarrollo. Sabemos que hoy la dinámica de cooperación no es una dinámica horizontal, no es una dinámica transparente y mucho menos decolonizadora. Entonces, la importancia que queremos ahí enfocar es para que cambie esta dinámica, ¿no? De cooperación nacional. Y también pensamos en la justicia fiscal, ¿no? Demandando las políticas fiscales progresivas, ¿no? Para que hicimos un estudio, ¿no? De que hay 300.000 millones de dólares en evasión de impuestos, que podría en nuestra región ser invertido, no, pero estar alocadas, bueno, ubicadas en las áreas de derechos humanos y entre ellas la educación. Entonces, nuestro mensaje y nuestra movilización es para que los estados inviertan en la garantía, ¿no? De los derechos de todas y todos, ¿no? Y en sistemas de educación pública fuertes, igualitarios, ¿no? Y en diferentes contextos. Sabemos que nuestro continente, nuestra región latinoamericana y caribeña, es una de las regiones con más diversidad, ¿no? De contextos históricos, cuestiones culturales, de raza. Entonces, ahí también es una cuestión. Entonces, desde la clave en nuestro diálogo regional, ¿no? Pensamos también en hablar sobre el financiamiento educativo, los contextos, los desafíos y propuestas para América Latina y el Caribe. La idea aquí es hacer una reflexión sobre el financiamiento, la deuda, la recaudación fiscal justa, ¿no? Y la cooperación internacional, desde las experiencias de quienes viven las consecuencias e impactos, ¿no? De financiamiento. Ahí también hay una mirada decolonial de formato, ¿no? Las voces ahí entonces serían las voces de quien vivencian esto, ¿no? De los estudiantes, de las mujeres, de las personas que personas adultas y jóvenes que todavía están en el sistema educativo, ¿no? Y no solamente de los expertos en estos temas. La idea entonces, a partir de eso, ¿no? Es reunir los representantes de por lo menos 9 países de América Latina, además de presentar de una forma más dinámica con videos y animaciones. Eso para el diálogo regional que será realizado entonces el 30, ¿no? de mayo. Y es eso, ¿no? La clave es una red regional y varios miembros ya piensan, ya organizan sus acciones, ¿no? Entonces, hicimos una reunión previa con nuestra membresía para ver lo que ellos están organizando, y aquí está como una nube de palabras de los principales temas que dialogan con el tema principal de la SAME de este año, ¿no? Que es la decolonización del financiamiento. Entonces, aquí vamos a trabajar con primera infancia, la educación de personas jóvenes y adultas, los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible, principalmente el 4, que tiene que ver con educación, el financiamiento decolonial, la deuda, en fin, justicia fiscal. Son muchos los temas que desde nuestra región vamos a trabajar, ¿no? Y dentro de todos los países, ¿no? Hasta ahora, porque hay más países que todavía están pensando, coordinando sus estrategias, ¿no? Ya tenemos 6 países que empezaron a proponer y ya a producir materiales para nuestra SAME, ¿no? Son ellos: Bolivia, Brasil, Colombia, Honduras, México y Venezuela, ¿no? Además, hay 3 organizaciones regionales e internacionales que también ya tienen organizadas sus acciones, que es OMEP Latinoamericana, la OVE, Otras Voces en Educación, y la DBB Internacional, que son también parte de la membresía clave. Y ahí entonces voy a presentar país por país, porque no sé si todos aquí de la campaña mundial conocen el país, saben también. Para mí es como una manera también de formación, de conocer mejor cada país. Entonces voy rapidito pasar algunas actividades de cada país. Y es muy bueno también porque los representantes de las campañas nacionales también están aquí hoy con nosotros, y ahí en este momento de las preguntas y debates también pueden hacer sus aportes y quizá poner más informaciones de lo que les voy a presentar. Bolivia entonces va a hablar sobre financiamiento decolonial y el financiamiento en su país, ¿no? Habrá actividades de incidencia política con envío de documentos a autoridades, formación y movilización con realización de 2 webinarios y difusión de mensajes clave por redes sociales. Todo eso será realizado en junio, cuando la campaña boliviana realiza su campaña mundial por el derecho a la educación. Brasil, mi país. Bueno, Brasil ya tiene más de 200 actividades inscritas hasta ahora, ¿no? La campaña brasileña primero abre las inscripciones para la SAME, donde escuelas, grupos, en fin, muchas organizaciones se inscriben para hacer la SAME de manera local, ¿no? En los territorios. El enfoque será el financiamiento educativo de Colonial, pero también el Plan Nacional de Educación, que ahora estamos en un momento de balance del plan y una de las metas de este plan es el financiamiento, ¿no? Entonces son actividades presenciales, difusión en redes sociales y webinarios, todas esas 200 actividades. Uno de los eventos será organizado por la campaña nacional y será un evento de incidencia política con los parlamentarios en el Congreso brasileño, y eso se realiza del 19 al 26 de junio. Colombia. Entonces, ya están siendo organizadas más de 10 actividades, ¿no? En el país, con temas sobre el panorama de la financiación del derecho humano a la educación en Colombia, el Objetivo de Desarrollo Sostenible 4 en el país y cambios en el presupuesto con relación a este objetivo, ¿no? Serán eventos presenciales, locales en diferentes regiones del país, en los territorios, ¿no? Y difusión en redes sociales y webinario, y eso se dará, se va a poner en marcha del 27 de mayo al 3 de junio. Honduras. Honduras entonces va a defender el aumento al financiamiento para la educación en el país, ¿no? Y serán actividades de incidencia y movilización por las redes sociales, y se pasará durante la SAME Mundial del 29 de mayo al 2 de junio. México. México tratará de la decolonialidad para el financiamiento con incidencia, movilización y formación a través de 2 webinarios. Habrá una producción de un video testimonial de los desafíos que enfrentan escuelas que se ubican en regiones cercanas a los basureros en el Estado de México, ¿no? Y además de difusión de los mensajes de la SAME, eso también durante la SAME Mundial del 29 al 2 de junio. Y Venezuela tratará del derecho a la educación y de la transformación digital, con actividades de incidencia, movilización y formación, con la realización de 2 webinarios y difusión de los mensajes, ¿no? De la SAME. Y ahora las organizaciones regionales e internacionales la aportará para la SAME con un reportaje en video, ¿no? Sobre la EJA, la educación de personas jóvenes y adultas en la región andina, en Ecuador también, ¿no? Principalmente en Ecuador. Y OMEP Latinoamericana dialogará con el financiamiento de Colonial y la educación desde el principio, ¿no? Con la primera infancia. Son actividades de movilización, incidencia y formación a través de la realización de un evento virtual, videos sobre el tema y envío de cartas a autoridades de los países de la región, hablando del financiamiento y primera infancia. Entonces, esto aquí es un resumen de lo que América Latina y el Caribe aportará a la SAME este año, ¿no? También vamos a realizar un encuentro, una reunión de los comunicadores para hacer una comunicación estratégica, ¿no? Para que cada país también fortalezca al otro país, ¿no? Con un programa colectivo y estratégico, y también enfocando estos 3 mensajes, recordando que lo que dijo, ¿no? Marcelino en el evento de esta semana, ¿no? Estamos ahí en un continente que es un continente muy rico en cultura, muy rico, muy diverso en cuestiones históricas, con muchos desafíos, y eso todo hay que ser pensado, ¿no? Y también hacer una disidencia por más financiamiento y de una manera mucho más transparente, no horizontal. Es eso, no sé si tienen dudas, ahí conversamos después.
Thank you so much, dear Thais. We will have time for questions and answers later on. And I think that, I mean, I'm sure that all presentations are a good source of inspiration and that we can all learn from each other. So this is the reason for this kind of activities. So thank you so much, Thais. Now we'll move to the youth and student plans. And for this, we have two dear colleagues presenting today. Carmen Romero, representing the Global Students Forum, and she's also a GC board member. And we have our dear colleague, Amil Glamini from the GC Secretariat as well. So the floor is yours, colleagues. Go ahead, Carmen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go very briefly to share some reflections, and then I will let Amile take the floor. Also, I wanted to thank all the GC Secretariat and all the different teams for all the work that you're doing, because it's you can really show the support from the different coalitions and the efforts that you're all making. So thank you for that. And yeah, just to say that I think it's important for sure, like we always say from the youth and student constituency, that it's important to take us into account, and we always say nothing about us without us. But also for this special theme and for this special Gawe, we think it's fundamental to have youth and student representatives in the different events. So we invite you all from the different coalitions to reach out to your youth and student activists in your different regions, and to invite them also to take the floor. And just as another reflection on why this theme is so important, and this I can say also because, as many of you know, I'm Spanish, and unfortunately in Spain, the way we are taught history and the way that we are taught about colonization, it's still from the glasses of the people who actually colonize, which is basically perpetuating the status quo and the dynamics that we see still today. And unfortunately, not many students or not many people have access or have the means to kind of change or challenge that kind of narrative. So this is also why it's so important to have this year this theme, and also like not only to change the status quo from the economic perspective, but also from the cultural side, which is also a very important battle to fight racism and xenophobia and many other things that come from the fact that, while many countries in the global north still believe that the way they see things is better than what is done and what are the views of other people in other parts of the world. And for this, we have different kind of activities also from the youth and student constituency. We will have some inside, some online, and some of them will also, as we've been already working, for example, GSF has been working already on also tax education and how this affects decolonizing education funding from a student perspective, but also some other members of the IAC have been working on how to decolonize school curricula. And yeah, we will have different activities around that, but I'm gonna give the floor to Amile. Thank you very much again to the GC Secretariat and to everyone participating today.
Hello to everyone. Thank you to my colleague Carmen there for the explanation. She definitely put into context a large part of what we'll be doing. So I'll just be sharing some things we'll be doing on terms of sharing and planning the actions for Gawe. So some of them also include videos which I will share at the end of my presentation. So these are videos to contextualize financing or decolonizing education and financing in education. And these will be done through definitely some short videos. And one thing that we'll be doing is that we'll be doing a social media takeover where we'll encourage youth organizations from different places we'll create a social media schedule, which will be shared with the youth. This will be a social media takeover on Instagram and on Twitter. And then also the different youth and student organizations within GCE will have different events. So one of these include ZINASU, which is the Zimbabwean Students' Union. They will have a workshop discussing what decolonizing education means in the Zimbabwean context and in the African context. And because they also noted that last year during GAWE, they didn't have a lot of engagement, they plan to also have a launch event where they engage different youths on this, on decolonizing education and education financing. And then also we'll also be having students from CADEM also having a campaign on making schools more accessible, especially for indigenous communities. And then the Arab Coalition for Education for All will also be putting together a fact sheet on education financing in each of the countries within the organization. And they'll also be doing videos on the demands on education financing and videos on developing policies around education. And also the youth will be having communication campaigns on social media. So a lot of this is to get engaged, because a lot of youth, we've noted that a lot of youth do not understand what it means and what it entails in decolonizing education and the financing of education. So a lot of the campaigns online will be based on having discussions around this, making the youth understand how they can fit into this and how they can lobby their respective governments. And we'll be doing this. Also, our youth will be doing this with some grants to help them during GAWE, which also will include workshops. Also, learning material will be circulated around us. We'll also be right now sharing some videos to contextualize a large part of the work that we're doing. So also please forgive me on the sound. Some of the videos just need a little bit of, just put your volume a bit up. Sorry about that. So these are just to put an understanding. So the 3 videos are from 3 organizations within the youth and students organizations. So these videos will be distributed a week before the start of GAWE. So this is to also see the perspective. What do youth think about when they think of the past term decolonizing education and education financing? Thank you. I'll share right now.
As I say, I can't say like that. The stage is fun. The process of strengthening the voice of the silent.
Decolonizing education means that I, as a young African woman, get to shape the curriculum.
Sorry about that. I'll just share another, I'll just stop sharing for a few seconds. Apologies about the lagging video. Yeah, my internet seems fine. So I'll just share another one. And please just tell me if it's still lagging. You can just say in the comment section after I show the next video. Thank you.
التعليم هو الطريق للفكر الحر، لكن حتى نصبح قادرين على التفكير بحرية يجب علينا تحرير التعليم من الاستعمار.
تبدأ الحرية بالتوجه، لذلك لابد من الاستعمار على التعليم لخلق جيل فاعل يتمتع بفكر حر دون قيود، دون شروط ودون محددات تقيد. نعم، لإنهاء الاستعمار على التعليم.
التعليم هو الطريق الصحيح لخلق جيل واعي يتمتع بالفكر الحر وإنهاء الجهل الفكري في المجتمع معا لإنهاء الاستعمار التعليمي.
Thank you so much. I'll be sharing the last video now.
Para mí, economizar la educación significa que todas las personas tengamos acceso al derecho humano a la educación.
Can everyone see the videos? I just wanted to check.
No, we couldn't.
See, we are seeing, we are just here.
Try.
Yeah, we are just here.
Or change my internet. Apologies for that.
I think that's fine, Amelia. Maybe we can, I mean, we listen it, but maybe we can continue. Hello. We can continue, Amelia.
I hope the videos are, please tell me if the videos are playing now. Now, please ask, are the videos playing now? Can I just get an indication with a thumbs up or anything in the chat?
Yeah, now we can see.
Is it not?
Now we can see me.
Oh, you can see the videos now. Is there no sound? Okay, apologies for that. Please give me a few minutes. Okay. Thank you about that. Then I'll just share the links to the videos because apparently there's a sound issue. Apologies for that. Apologies for that. But essentially we have the videos in the 3 languages, in English, in Arabic, and also have another one in Spanish. So basically all of this is to also we show that in decolonizing education, we have it from different perspectives, from different youth all around different languages. So this is to also just show the inclusivity in decolonizing education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amelia and Carmen, for this fantastic presentation from the youth perspective. And now we'll continue with Africa. It's the time for ANSEFA. So for this, we have our dear colleague, Boaz Weruku, from the African Network Campaign for Education for All. Boaz, you have up to 10 minutes for your presentation. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Venus, and thanks to everybody else. Indeed, it is a great pleasure to be joining colleagues from the global movement for education. From Africa, indeed, I think part of what is to be shared. I'm just trying to see if I can be able to share that. Can that be seen? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
we can see.
It can be seen? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I would start from the middle, just because a lot of what I should have been saying from the beginning has actually been ably covered by the presenters. And so within Africa, I would indicate that we've already had an opportunity to do continental or Africa-wide planning, where ANSEFA, the regional secretariat and the board, we did convene the members, and that is on the 13th of April of this year, where more than 52 participants actually attended and interacted with the issues of the GAWE. There we were able also to give or share briefs of what the planning processes that are ongoing at the country level, and then coming out with the commitment that the planning at the country level would continue. But there are commitments which were basically made, and I think I would have indicated that that the background of this was the understanding and the understanding the aspect that within Africa, the heads of state and governments have already resolved that the year 2024 is the year of education. So the theme year for Africa in 2024, which has been formally accepted by the Africa Union, the apex organs, is that we will dedicate all our efforts towards making sure that something significantly happens in 2024, because the theme for that year is education agenda. And also the fact that we are doing so after that discussion, so the build-up consultations towards that declaration had actually done a mapping, and a number of the input, particularly from civil society, where we were very clear on making education priority and emphasizing the fact that what needs to be done is the aspect of doing intense or heavy domestic resource mobilization. We were saying so because within Africa, I think we say we have very many resources. Africa is such a rich continent that almost anything and everything you want under the sun, including even the sun itself, I think is in Africa. And so we are saying with the goodwill, the political goodwill, prioritizing education as now has been done, it would be important that then we redirect our energies towards domestic resource mobilization and encouraging governments to keep that commitment really to be actualized. So part of the actions in specific terms that we expect to undertake, one, ensuring that the Africa members and the national coalitions that more than 20 of them actually participated in this planning meeting. They committed to do written memoranda to the Africa Union representatives to urge them to integrate the education agenda and the fact of decolonizing education financing, that this should be integrated in the 2024 year of education, and with the focus on raising this strongly at the IMF and World Bank annual meetings, which we know would also be held in Marrakesh in October. And we are also saying that we'll keep following up with the global coordination that through the GC to ensure that the commitment to send a letter of protest rejecting the appointment of Ajay Banga, this former MasterCard chief, to be the World Bank president, is something that we must resist. Whether they would not reconsider, that is not the issue, but they must understand our they must understand our where we are coming from. Sorry, I think I started more from the bottom. We also indicated or made the commitment, we made the commitment that every national coalition to write to their Minister for Education and Head of State to remind them of the Transforming Education Summit call to action. And indeed, I think the call to action has been already paraphrased and stated in various ways. But for us in Africa, we are keen to ensure that issues of progressive tax regimes must be considered, and progressive tax regimes include bringing even those brackets that have been escaping or avoiding tax, so that we generate lots of resources, whose share now we can adequately say, when given to education, would be able to significantly improve the delivery of public education system. The issue of debt, we are saying that must also be looked at, because a number of our African countries are straddled with debt. In fact, a majority of our countries, including those that we may think are doing very well, are currently struggling to service even the debt. So we are saying that the issue of debt cancellation, and indeed we're linking this with the fact that we want to direct resources to education. Those should be calls that should be made. Austerity measures that the World Bank and the IMF have been putting as yokes over the head of African governments. The fact that the wage bill being managed, increasing the number of teachers that is to be recruited, fully trained, and even continuous professional development so that quality improvements are guaranteed. Those are the issues that are to be challenged. And so the aspect that the coalitions themselves did take, that they would be writing those, is something that is very important. We also putting the aspect of ensuring that every national coalition to write to the executive director, of course, just to remind them of the 2007 decision to remove the public wage bill constraints as a condition of loan. And we are also organizing, this is the Policy Dialogue Forum. And the Policy Dialogue Forum on the Monday, the 29th May, would be bringing the various experiences from the various sub-regions across Africa. And indeed, because we work in 3 languages, would be able to get experiences from those who operate in the Portuguese language, from the French language, and the English language, so that those can be shared as we move along. And we also have the forthcoming 12th Pan-African Policy Forum. We are saying that within that space, because we normally have our annual forum where ANSEFA, the member national coalitions, and other education stakeholders across Africa, including from the Africa Union and the UNESCO and say UN agencies within the continent, including UNESCO, UNICEF, really come together, so that then we use that as an occasion to take stock of the progress that is being made in the delivery of education and the challenges being faced, and make new commitments, new demands, or reminders to ensure that we remain at the forefront in terms of developing the education agenda and progressing with that. So I think in summary, that those constitute what we'll be able to act on. But if I was to start from right from the beginning, I think I indicated that a lot of this, because we were very specific on the calls that we had to make. We are very specific on how the goals which had been committed to were supposed to be done. We were clear on revisiting the debt issue, the debt conundrum in Africa, and pushing back the IMF and the World Bank, and indeed ensuring that the youth and students issues remain core at the center. The financial planning and the budget processes, we said all this would remain part of the ingredients that would be vocalizing within the GAWE campaign. And I think it was also important, maybe just to add something else, would be there are national coalitions that have also taken on board youth and student-specific activities. So youth-led and student-specific activities, like Tanzania will be doing so. And indeed, also at the regional level, and CEFA, working with its youth constituency, which is evolving, would also be able to do a presentation to ensure that issues of the youth are constantly brought to the fore for people to interact with. Otherwise, I thank you. And maybe there's I don't know if a comment from my colleague Solange. Solange is on the call, but not on the panelists level outside. If she can take just the remaining 2 minutes, just to emphasize any additional information that I might have left. Otherwise, thank you very much. So if Solange may get the opportunity just for 2 minutes.
Solange is always welcome.
Thank you.
Solange. Solange, are you there? Well, I think that Solange is not with us anymore. So let me see if she's in.
I think that Salma have to give permission.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you just give me a few seconds? I'm trying to promote. It's just okay. So I think now it's fine.
Oh.
Solange.
So we'll wait for Solange. In the meantime, we will just let you know that we will continue sharing more information.
You can give Solange a chance because she's actually a panelist at the moment. If she can unmute and speak to us.
Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Yes, Solange. Yes.
Merci beaucoup à tous. Merci à JC pour l'organisation de ce panel pour nous permettre de nous préparer effectivement à la Semaine mondiale d'action pour l'éducation tous. Merci à Boaz. Je pense que tu as très bien expliqué tout ce qui s'est passé, la consultation que nous avons eue avec nos membres pour qu'ils puissent se mettre déjà prêts à s'engager dans ce processus. Et le dialogue politique que nous allons organiser, qui sera un peu le clou de toute la mobilisation au niveau africain, avec les activités des coalitions, mais aussi avec le forum, le dialogue politique qui sera vraiment l'événement régional. Et nous vous invitons tous, c'est le 29 mai que cela va se tenir avec nos partenaires habituels d'ici, l'UNESCO et tous nos autres partenaires pour faire ressortir la décolonisation du financement de l'éducation. C'est très important que l'Afrique est un continent riche, Boaz l'a mentionné, et nous avons les ressources qu'il faut pour financer l'éducation, pour peu que nous priorisions cette éducation. Et je suis très heureuse de réitérer, de féliciter l'Union africaine qui, pour la première fois, a choisi 2024 comme le thème qui sera l'éducation. Le thème du sommet de l'Union africaine 2024 sera l'éducation. Donc, nous sommes sur la bonne voie. Nous avons besoin que les coalitions se mobilisent davantage et que nous fassions entendre nos demandes pour que les ressources africaines servent à former la ressource humaine africaine pour le développement du continent. Je voudrais m'arrêter là et nous inviter tous à travailler dans ce sens et à mobiliser tout le mouvement de l'éducation en Asie, en Afrique, en Amérique latine, au Moyen-Orient et partout dans le monde pour faire entendre la voix de l'éducation. Félicitations encore à JC et aux collègues régionaux. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Solange. Okay, colleagues, now, last but not least, we have our dear colleague, Maria Rombalcera from Action Aid and the Tax Education Alliance, who will be sharing the plans and actions up to 5 minutes. Querida María, es tu turno.
Muchas gracias. I will be speaking in English, if that's okay. Thank you very much to GCE and to all the colleagues for inviting us to share our planned activities. And we really welcome the theme for this year, decolonizing education financing, because we think that it is crucial, not only for those who are working on education financing, but for everyone who is working to promote education as a right and to promote the SDG 4. So in terms of what we are planning to do, we will be launching the revised financing matters toolkit. It will be coming with another title, but it is nearly ready. We'll be translating it into different languages. I will be ready with you and launch by the end of the Global Action Week for Education. We will also be hosting a Twitter chat. So I will be sharing our Twitter account. So please do keep an eye and join us if you can. Then in terms of at national level, because the TaxAid Alliance is composed, brings together ActionAid, Tax Justice Network, Global Alliance for Tax Justice, Education International, and the Global Campaign for Education. And we work in 3 focus countries, which are Nepal, Senegal, and Zambia. So starting with Nepal, we will be having some demonstrations on the 29th of May. The youth group will be submitting a letter with demands in the different palikas. There will be some speeches like asking for some specific demands to raise the education financing budget that at the moment is really low, the latest one, and our colleagues are working to press the government to really raise it. In Senegal, we will be having a high-level advocacy activity between the 25th and the 27th of May, bringing together high-level staff from the Ministers of Education, Ministers of Finance and Budget, and Ministers of Youth. This would take place in Salih. And it will also be bringing together teachers' unions and community and civil society organizations to raise the issues of progressive taxation as the best way to raise funds for education in a sustainable manner and decolonizing education financing. Also, between the 5th, 6th, and 7th, they will be launching a research on solutions to fill the financing gap in Senegal. In Zambia, we will be having some events as well with the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Education and Education Coalition, reviewing the pre-budget in the workshop and focusing on decolonizing financing. We will be really reviewing and opposing the IMF advice, as they call it, to really freeze the public sector wage bill, and to really continue with hiring extra teachers and providing enough funds to sustain these new extra teachers that are 35,000. Really against the IMF advice. So this is a great example of decolonizing education financing in Zambia. We are also hoping to launch a research paper that reviews the IMF advice and proposes solutions. And this is it for the moment. So a lot happening, and I haven't been able to get the activities that are happening in Ghana and in Uganda. But we are very happy to be collaborating, particularly with GCE, in producing more cartoons and more resources for Gawe. So I'll leave it with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Maria, for this update. And colleagues, I think that we have a few minutes for questions and answers in case you want to share any to the panelists. So the floor is open. Let me see. I have someone here. Maria Esther Aguilar. Please go ahead. María Esther, ¿tienes alguna pregunta? Estás con el micrófono apagado. Okay, in the meantime, any other question, comment, complaint? Okay, if not, I think that we can close today's webinar. We will be sharing more information in the coming days from our comms colleagues. We will share some sample letters that we are inviting coalitions to send to governments regarding financing, and more information to come. Just let me quickly also tell you that on the 10th, we'll be having another webinar, this time with information on the high-level political forum. So you have received the invitation so far, so please register and share your comments as well. And it will be on the 10th at 2 p.m. Johannesburg time. So you are all invited. Okay, colleagues, so if there is no questions and comments, I think that we can close the webinar today. Thank you so much to all panelists. Thank you so much to all of you who have joined the event. Happy Gawe. And I think that we will have a fantastic opportunity this year to come together with actions on the decolonizing education finance. So have a fantastic rest of the day. Thank you so much and be happy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gracias. Obrigada.
Thank you.
Gracias.